Born 1832, in a small village in the Scottish Highlands, Charles Hamilton was born. Descending from a long line of Anglo warriors in England, Charles was quick to pick up the art of sword skill. As a young man, he would then befriend the future King of Alba, Harold Fogg. The House of Hamilton and the House of Fogg has deep ties. Charles's own mother was Harold's aunt. Therefore the two got along well. The two would eventually join the local militias and partake in raids of other realms and fight in fierce battles for their warlord. While Charles was making a name for himself as a noble warrior, Harold had other ambitions. After organizing a sizable army, mostly compiled of their fellow soldiers from the militia, Harold and Charles would sack the village of Aberdeen. After a very quick siege, the city was well under their control. Charles and the men went to every nearby village and demanding them pledge their loyalties to the new king, King Harold of Alba. With Harold the new king in Alba, there was many battles that laid ahead, and Charles fought in each and every one, dutifully securing Harold's reign. After many campaigns and many battles won, Harold made Charles the Duke of the North, the Duke of the Highlands, where he would rule for many years. While living in the north, here is where Charles would really dive deeper into his Scottish roots and his rise to power begins. King Harold of Alba eventually sends for Charles to join his royal court as his Lord Chancellor, which would place Charles at the very forefront of all governmental matters. The new titles and job suited Charles well. He did the job with honours and served his king well. After a few months in Alba, Charles would return to the north seeking a place of peace and quiet, and he knew the beautiful scenery from the mountains and wildlife would do the trick, so he set off north. Arriving in the Highlands after a short journey, Charles would head into the local village to see how the people were doing and how things were getting on. As a statesman, Charles always felt it very important that the everyday people got a good glimpse of the authority, and to show them how important, no matter how small, their issues really were to him. After meeting with most of the local elder men, Charles would come to meet a young woman and her family, political refugees from the Kingdom of Brittany. The young woman's name was Anastasia, Princess of Brittany, and her family found themselves in Scotland, far from home and dethroned from their kingdom. Charles, surprised that people with such high status all the way up in the wildlands in the north, taking sympathy on their situation, he would send the royal family to Aberdeen to have more adequate living conditions. The family and the young woman were deeply grateful, and Sir Charles accompanied him off to Aberdeen. After a small journey back south, Charles arrives in Aberdeen with the family of refugees. Upon return, he helps the family find proper housing and food, then he reports to the king. After spending many months in Aberdeen, spending time with the family, getting to know them, Charles finds himself in love with the Princess Anastasia. Eventually the two would be married in the Holy Church of Tyter, making Anastasia a duchess in Scotland, ensuring she will never have to worry about a home again. The pair would return to the Highlands where Charles rules and would spend many years there. They would even raise a family, having children, one most notably being Edward Hamilton, a future king in Scotland. Life was great for the young family, and they even enjoyed their quiet lives in the north, but that was soon to change entirely. One morning Charles received a message for him to return to Aberdeen as the situation there grew dire. Not even knowing there was a situation, Charles was surprised but hurried on his journey back to Aberdeen. Once arriving in Aberdeen, Charles was given word that King Harold had been injured and was likely to not make it through the night. So Charles entered his friend's chambers and sat by his side, and in a weak state Harold made Charles the Duke of the Highlands, King of Alba. This will conclude part 1 of the 3-part series on Charles I, the first King of Scotland. We hope you enjoyed the video, and most importantly, thank you for watching.